Brittany Fortinberry looked down and said nothing as deputies led her into the Morgan County Courthouse. She said nothing during a brief court hearing on the expanded charges against her now that more alleged victims have come forward. Teenage boys as young as 13 say Fortinberry gave them drugs and had sex with them at her Martinsville home, including group sex. She is also accused of sending nude photos of herself to the boys.
Call 911 on my killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang, bang, got my hand on the trigger. The devil in a red dress. Call 911 on my killer. You know I hate to confess.
I'm not kidding you when I say this teacher is the female P. Diddy of Indiana. Only she is, let's call her B. Diddy. And just like P. Diddy, her victims are many. And I classify her as a nymph pedo, at least in my psychological opinion. Of course, my opinion doesn't count for much since I'm no psychologist and just a little southern lady in her she-shed telling true crime. So what I know. Before we begin, this is all alleged because it has not went to trial yet. I must emphasize that. Brittany Fortinberry's students were her targets, and a scream mask was involved in her sick sexual games. Not only did she abuse her students, but also her own son. I have the affidavit and it's crazy. Absolutely crazy how a female teacher can get away with so much. Because I guess we don't want to see them in that way. We know males definitely can be that way, but we don't want to see a female like that. It makes it all the more sick to me. Before we begin, my name is Holly. Welcome to the Murder She Shed, the place we discuss rarely told true crime right from my little she shed. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, that one down there, so you can join this nerdy true crime gal weekly right here in my little she shed. Also, this is some pretty sick stuff, so viewer discretion is advised. Brittany Fortinberry is a 31-year-old teacher who was a teacher for Eminence High School in Indiana before she resigned on January 9, 2024. She previously worked at Martinsville High School, where she taught several of her alleged victims. Right before the allegations began to come out, she was teaching math at the high school. Math skills might be an advantage for her since she's going to be adding up a lot of charges. Brittany is married to Nicholas Fortinberry, who has recently filed for divorce after these accusations just started piling up. Her husband was a fireman. Don't know if he still is because he is not completely innocent and is facing charges also. Nicholas is her second husband. Brittany claims she was disabled in the Navy and so she was discharged. Brittany Fortinberry also claims to have a very traumatic childhood and has borderline personality disorder. Before Brittany turned 18, she admitted to having sex with over 300 men before she turned 18. That is a lot of men for your entire life till you die, much less for a child under 18. Not trying to nymph shame, but yeah, I am. I'm trying to nymph shame. That's pretty bad. She stated she would use sex as a form of self-harm. The allegations toward Brittany first came about when two students from Eminence High School came to the staff saying they were receiving inappropriate messages and videos from a teacher named Brittany Fortinberry. So police came to the school in order to interview these two students. The students said on the fourth day of school, they were introduced to the new teacher who told them to call her Miss B. Brittany asked the students if they could help her move boxes of stuff into her new schoolroom and help her set up the room. The two students continued to help Brittany all week to set up her room. I guess they had volunteered to be teacher's assistants. All week, Brittany acted normal to these boys, but on the weekend, Brittany added one of the students to her Instagram. He said that she then texted him on Instagram asking him where the cross-country meet was at. She asked him for the cross-country schedule and told him that she was wanting to attend some of the meets. He said he thought it was kind of weird that she was asking him, but he did give her the link to where she could find the schedule. He said that she continued texting him, asking him what he was doing all weekend, and described it as if she were texting more like a friend. Brittany asked the student's age, and when he said that he was 18, Brittany started focusing more on him than the other student who was helping her, who was 17. The 18-year-old noticed that Brittany was flirting with him while he would grade papers in her classroom. And after he left for the day, she told that boy that she had to change her panties after he left. It got real inappropriate real quick, apparently. He thought this was a strange thing to say, but didn't inquire more about why she was saying this. She also would wear revealing clothing while the students were assisting her in the classroom. One day, she even wore a hoodie all day until it was time for her teacher assistants to come into the room, and she took this hoodie off and informed those two students that her dress was broken and pointed to where it was broken, which was up here. And she is rather large, and things were hanging out. This is going to be a hard story to tell because I'm trying to tell it without getting maybe demonetized. I already know I'm going to get demonetized, but maybe without getting kicked off of YouTube, period. She would also sometimes grade papers by sitting on her feet and arching her back up in the air. So basically, elbows on the floor with her butt in the air. At first, the conversation was general and gradually became more personal. Miss B told him she used to be a stripper and that she now had an OnlyFans after losing over 100 pounds. She also said that she put some exclusive stuff on her Snapchat stories and made $12,000 off of OnlyFans. He said that she showed him a before and an after pic, and he praised her for it. Before and after she lost all that weight. And he said, well, that's a hard thing to do. He never said anything sexual about these pictures. He was keeping it classy. She was not. She told both of these male students that she had fakies. I'll just leave it at that. She also told the student that the couch in her classroom was a couch that her and her husband used to have sex on. She also told both students that she dreamed that she had sex with them as a threesome. While one boy was helping in the classroom, Miss B said she wanted to show him a picture of her home gym on her phone. When her photo gallery was open, however, he saw nude photos of her. Miss B said those were photos for only her husband, and she didn't mean for the student to see them. Later that evening, the two students were hanging out at the 18-year-old's home when he received a video from Brittany. The video was of several drawers of toys. A lot of toys. Different size toys. All kinds of toys. And y'all, as adults, know I'm talking about adult toys, right? She also told them that she had spent $5,000 on her toys. She was describing what each toy was, and he showed that video to his friend of her describing all the different sizes of toys, even one that was a large hand. She's really into hands, as you'll find out later, in disturbing ways. He said he didn't really understand what was going on, and he said that he deleted his chats, set his phone down, and said, we're done with that. Only the next day, Miss B continued sending him pictures of herself in just a bra. Said that she also sent him a picture of her room, and in the picture was a stripper pole. This is when the student told Brittany he had a girlfriend, that he just wanted to be her teacher's assistant, and that she was going to run her career if she continued to act that way. He said, I will not tell anybody, but you need to leave me alone. I mean, it's pretty sad when a student is more mature than the teacher, because these students were so mature is the reason Brittany was caught and would not be able to essay any more students. Later that night, Miss B then sent him scholarship information and afterwards text, oops, forgot that I wasn't supposed to be texting. The next day when the 18-year-old arrived at school, his friend, the 17-year-old, told him that Miss B had started texting and acting that same way with him now. The students together went and showed the dean of the school her texts, pictures, and videos. They told the dean that when Brittany sent something she didn't want to be seen by anyone else, she would put it on vanishing mode, which makes whatever she sent disappear after the student viewed it. After these two students came forward, then a third student came forward with allegations that he was essayed by Miss B the previous year at the other school. This student had told his grandmother about the abuse after he was told that Brittany was in jail for that same reason. The grandmother then brought her grandson to the police department to file a report. Brittany lured the student in the same way by sending him nude photos of herself. This young student was only 15 years old and attended Martinsville School, which was the school where Brittany was a substitute teacher at with a apparently full-time position. Grandmother said Brittany started bringing her grandson clothes and shoes to her house. When she came over, a lot of times she had a lot of boys with her. After the grandmother met Brittany, she gave her grandson permission to go to Brittany's home to hang out with Brittany's son and another student from school. I guess they all felt like they were friends with Brittany's son, so they let them hang out. I would never give my kids permission to go to a teacher's home. I think that's just a little overboard unless like we've been besties forever, like when my kids were little or something like that. That would be the only exception probably. But I think it's just kind of strange that all these parents let their teens go to her home. Especially you've seen a lot of boys around her all the time. And you'd have a weird feeling, I believe, that something wasn't quite right. Or I think I would. I'm not parent shaming or anything. I mean, everybody raised their kids different. I was just kind of a helicopter mom. And since I'd had past experience with this kind of abuse, I was really protective with my children. So I'm not shaming in any way. This is where the other student who went with her grandson, and this other student was 16, and he told him that other students at school was getting with Brittany and he would like to F her too. I believe the allegations are that she was essaying 3 or 4 other students at that time. The following day, her 15-year-old grandson returned to Brittany's house. He was giving shrooms by Brittany and apparently it made him really tired. He said that he was sitting in her bed trying to take a nap and Brittany leaned over and asked him to cuddle with her. Said it was weird, but he was kind of out of his mind and he ended up doing it. Felt like peer pressure to even take the shrooms, and now she was going further and trying to hug him, and it felt like peer pressure too. But when your mind's kind of messed up, you're not thinking clearly, and so I guess he just went ahead and went with it. His exact words to the police were, "She was touching my shit, and it was weird." She ended up raping him for the first time that night. He then talks about one day that he and his friend were there. He said there was a big bottle of white lube and that Brittany asked them both to make their hands into fists. That's what I told you, she likes hands. And to do something to her while their hands were in these fists. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're young and you probably shouldn't and you don't want to know. Even if you're not young. You don't want to know, trust me. Not long after that, Brittany asked the grandson and 2 other students to gangbang her. They all took shrooms, which caused the grandson not to be able to perform and made Brittany mad because he wasn't participating in the act with her and the 2 other students. As a bribe not to tell, Brittany would buy the male students vapes or anything else they requested. She also allegedly told the children that if they told anyone, she would take her own life. A 4th student who was 13 came forward soon after and said he was also a victim of Miss B's. This victim's mom was friends with Miss B and he was allowed to come and hang out with Brittany's son at her home. As usual, it started out with pictures and videos of Brittany nude, using toys, and having threesomes with other men. Eventually, she forced this victim to watch her essaying another student from the doorway of her bedroom. She would sometimes just make them watch if they didn't want to participate. So he would watch from the doorway. Eventually, he did start getting essayed by her too. One time, he even got essayed in the shower and left his boxers at her house. Unfortunately for him, he was sent a video of those boxers where she was sticking them where the sun don't shine and sent him this video. I'd be burning those boxers. Another video was sent to the victim of Brittany playing with herself while looking at the victim's school pictures. This victim told authorities that Brittany's husband, Nick, knew that she was having sex with the victim and threatened to slaughter the victim, kill him, and let his whole family watch him die if he ever told what was happening, what Brittany was doing to him. Nick blamed the victim for what was occurring and told him it needed to stop until he was of age. According to Brittany, she and Nick were in an open marriage, and I guess the only part that bothered him was because the victim was still a minor. Brittany started having this victim bring some other friends from his school, and she would give all the boys shrooms. Said that Brittany would wait about 45 minutes to an hour after they took the shrooms, and then she would grab their arms, start moving them, and touch herself with them. The victim said when Brittany grabbed their arms that she would have them touch her privates and say, just let it happen. Said this happened to everyone who was there. Said there was a total of 4 people in there when this occurred. He said that Brittany would use peer pressure to get them to do what she wanted them to do and to take the shrooms. This may be the strangest part, where she invited several of the victim's friends over along with the victim and asked them all to gangbang her with the scream mask on. Some people like that scream mask, have this thing for that scream mask, because I've seen TikToks that people talk how hot the scream mask is, which I find confusing. For instance, this TikTok.
Oh, you got a boyfriend?
Why? You want to ask me out on a date?
Maybe. Do you have a boyfriend?
No.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
I don't understand what the big deal is about the scream mask. Why you would want. Anyway, each your own unless it's a minor, and then you need to get in trouble. The boys would rotate from toy to oral and then to vagina while wearing these scream masks. Even after the victim heard that Brittany was in jail, she had texted him to come over, and they had sex in her garage. That was after she was already in jail and already got in trouble. I guess she was out on bond or something. She still was doing things that she shouldn't do with minors. This lady's a nut, I believe. Now hold on, my she shed nerds. I'm not near done with the amount of her victims, because they continued to pour into the police station, telling one disturbing story after another. There was a 14-year-old victim that he went over to Brittany's house because another boy had asked him, and this boy called Brittany his aunt. Now, it's unclear if this was Brittany's actual nephew, but the boy asked if he wanted to spend the night over at his aunt's house. So he's like, all right. So the two were playing basketball outside for a bit. They then came in to find Brittany bent over in her nightgown with no panties on, and the sun shining where the sun isn't supposed to shine, showing everything. Nothing happened that night, but Brittany did start sending him her famous nude pics. A month later, the victim would be in the bed with Brittany in the middle and another victim sleeping on the other side of her. So while the other victim was asleep, Brittany instructed this victim to touch her, then ask him to F her. The other victim wakes up while the essay was occurring, and he acted shocked. Finished up what he was doing, then went to the bathroom, returned, and she was then essaying the other victim. The next time the victim had sex with Miss B's son was actually at the foot of the bed. Her biological son was laying at the foot of the bed while she did things with this victim. Not long after that, her youngest son walked in while Brittany was doggy style with the victim. I'll just say that. The victim said that her son freaked out, but Brittany didn't care. Apparently, she just kept on keeping on. This is some bad stuff. She's a monster. I'm not even finished. It gets so much worse. Apparently, these two victims would babysit Brittany's children, and she would reward them by buying them stuff like baseball mitts. Some of the boys' rewards were even gifted to Brittany through special favors she had done in order to get these gifts for free. For instance, she gave some guy the Canes baseball facility for the victim's baseball lessons. She also had sex with the guy in order to get the victim new shoes. After this victim turned 15, Brittany suddenly quit essaying him. I guess he was just too old for her, which is weird because her last victims are a little bit older, but she usually sticks right in the 13 to 15-year-old range. Maybe her last victims looked a little younger. No charges were filed against Brittany when she taught at Martinsville School. However, Brittany quit because of rumors going around the school that she was performing OS on a student. Don't know what OS is, you're probably better off not knowing it. I'm just abbreviating it for short, so I don't have to go back and it out. Yeah. She was in the middle of sending nude pics and luring another victim into her web when she quit working at Martinsville. She became a stripper in between the Martinsville teaching position and working at Eminence High School. But she continued to text this minor that she had met from Martinsville and buy him things in order to groom him. This victim's parents would never let him spend the night with Brittany. Yay, parents. And the victim began to feel guilty about all the videos and pictures they were sending back and forth. This victim also believed Brittany's husband knew what she was doing with these boys. While talking to the victim, he mentioned that Brittany wanted him to add her son on Snapchat. He said there were rumors that Brittany had adopted her son and that she was having a relationship with him. Maybe they wanted to believe that Brittany adopted her son because, Well, maybe just didn't seem as bad as it being her biological son. Now, these new allegations are mind-blowing, disturbing, and a new form of low for this monster teacher. It's definitely the most graphic part of this video. Apparently, Brittany's first husband suspected some abuse may have occurred to his 7-year-old son while he was in the home of his mother, Brittany. Ex-husband took their 7-year-old to a place called Susie's Place, located in Bloomington, Indiana. Susie's Place is a child advocate center where abused and neglected children can be forensically interviewed. Their son was just fixing to go into the 2nd grade when he told what his mother was allegedly doing to him. He was taking a shower at his mother Brittany's house when she asked to get in the shower with him. He thought she was just trying not to waste water, so he said yes, and he was so young and innocent, he didn't understand anyway. She handed her son a bath mitt and asked him to wash her privates. She also asked him to rub her butt and top. Brittany then started washing her son's privates. After that, Brittany put her mouth on his privates. She then forced him to put his privates in both her front and back privates. This part's hard to tell, but I feel like it needs to be told to show what kind of monster she was. She was definitely the worst kind of monster. Not just men can be these kind of monsters. Females can be too. So be careful who you trust with your children. She then licked all of his private areas. They got out of the shower where the son said she did it again while they were in the bed. Only this time, she made her son use his fist. While watching a show, she abused him again, and then she cooked and fed him some pizza rolls. While they were eating pizza rolls, she told her son that she was going to do this to him again when he turned 13. Which makes sense. I mean, all of her victims were around that age when she started victimizing them. But can you imagine your own son? It just seems so much more disgusting and disturbing, and takes this case to a whole new level of sick. She then told him to keep what occurred between them a secret, and her facial expression scared him so much that he did not tell until she was in jail. I seen something about there was also a prior DCS report where Brittany had locked one of her sons out of the home and that he had to sleep inside the garage. It was noted that the child was banging on the door trying to get in and could not. Further said that the garage is detached from the house and there were no bathrooms inside this garage. Also, an additional report had been filed by Brittany's ex when their son was 2. A babysitter had been watching her 2-year-old son, and he started rolling a little truck up and down another little boy's back and bottom. He continued doing it after being asked to stop. The babysitter said she asked the boy why he was doing that, and he said, "Toys go into your bottom." The babysitter asked why he thought that. He stated his mommy put a fire truck in his bottom. His father took his son to the doctor, and his victim appeared mildly irritated and red and had a small tear in the 12 o'clock position. Although a DCS report was filed, I guess nothing was done about this incident. I'm not sure if they were still married at that time it occurred or what, and then nothing further was pursued. Her 7-year-old son then talks about how his stepfather Nick grew mushrooms under a pink light in his basement. He also talked about how teenage boys would come to their home all the time, and sometimes Nick would be there when the boys came over. Her son also said that Brittany spanked him with a slipper or a belt like 20 times and would pinch him. He also said Nick would spank him with this belt. Her son also seen naked teens on her phone. He stated that she basically shows everybody everything. Brittany would offer the teen students from $100 to $800 for their pics, and in some videos, these pics could be seen hanging on the walls in the background. Her son reported seeing Brittany choke Nick, and Nick saying he was going to break her grandma's hips. He also saw on his 8th birthday Brittany pee on Nick. When police searched the Fortinberry home, they found the stripper's pole in the basement bedroom, just as the boys described. They also found these drawers full of toys, as the boys described. Nicholas Fortinberry is charged with intimidation and failure to report. He was released on a $600 bond. After Nick dumped Brittany from their house where all these disturbing acts occurred, the house was put up for sale because Nick could no longer make the payments on the house after he lost the disability payments from Veterans Affairs, which was Brittany's. While being interviewed, Brittany did not say she regretted any of her actions, but instead said she regrets the day that she lost weight, adding that she doesn't think she would run into any of these issues if she had been 150 pounds heavier. Although when I seen her appear at court, she looked like she'd gained some of that weight back. Or orange jumpsuits aren't flattering. Brittany's facing up to 41 charges. That's including incest as one of those charges. Isn't that crazy? Multiple counts of child molesting, conducting a performance that is harmful to minors, and contributing to the delinquency of minors. Who knows, there may be many more victims who were just too scared to come forward and admit what Brittany had done to them. I mean, they could be embarrassed. It would be embarrassing for a teen to admit that. So far, the victims are about 10, but I'm thinking this monster has many more victims. If you were a victim of hers, I think you should come forward. Help everybody to receive the justice they need. This monster deserves, hopefully, life. I mean, it says a possibility that she could get life, and I do hope she gets it. She deserves it. Brittany has pleaded not guilty, and her defense is trying to use a mental illness. I hope that don't work for her. She knew exactly what she was doing. She just a true monster. So what if she had some abuse in her background? I had abuse in my background. A lot of people had abuse in their background. They don't go around doing this to children. It's disturbing. It's disgusting. And I don't care if you're male or female. It's just wrong. You get what you deserve, Brittany Fortin Dingleberry. Monster. All right. Love you guys. Y'all have a great day. Simon's ready to leave this hot shit, and I can't blame him. I don't know where Max is, but tell him bye. Say we love you. We'll see you next time at the murder shit. Let's go do something fun. Bye.
Devil in a red dress.